Hey guys, we have got to talk about Ben Simmons trades. Everyone's talking about it for really good reason. He is done mentally and in the locker room in Philadelphia. I think the lasting image from all this will be late in Game 7 when he passed up a dunk to pass to Matisse Thybulle because Ben didn't want to get hacked and go to the free throw line. He even was giving up an and one, a possible 3-point play to pass it to Matisse Thybulle, who would presumably lay it up, but nothing happened. They blew the possession, and this was late in a close game in a Game 7 when they were losing. They needed all the points that they could get, and that's how scared Ben was of the moment. This is a perfect example of a change of scenery is going to help him, right? So we're going to have the top 4 trades. They're not going to be fully baked trades. These are more just like trade targets. So, the biggest thing in a trade normally is you figure out what the main pieces are, and then you can figure out, what picks or smaller contracts to make the money work and go along with it. But we're going to talk about the top 4 trade targets for Ben Simmons. And things have just gone really downhill. Clearly, the Hawks' strategy of doing hack-a-Ben in Game 5 worked. Ever since then, he was broken mentally, didn't want any part of it. I think he shot like 1 for 4 in the fourth quarter combined in the final 3 games. So he wanted no part of the biggest moments, and I think that the locker room doesn't trust him in Philadelphia anymore. You can point right at Ben Simmons for why they lost, and a lot of people are. But before we get to these top 4 trade targets, I got to tell you my top 3 people who are to blame for this horrible Sixers mess. And actually, my number 1 isn't Doc Rivers, and my number 1 isn't Ben Simmons. It's Darryl Mori, the front office guy. So Mori, at the trade deadline, refused to put Tyrese Maxey into the package to try to get James Harden. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and on TV, actually, blaming Darryl Mori for not trading Ben Simmons for James Harden. He was willing to trade Ben Simmons for James Harden. The Sixers were willing to put Ben Simmons, a ton of picks, in the package for Harden, but they didn't want to put Tyrese Maxey in there, which is ridiculous. I mean, yes, he played well in this series against the Hawks, which is cool, but if you have a chance to get James Harden, you do it, and now it's obvious they would have won the championship. Joel Embiid with James Harden, Seth Curry, Furkan Korkmaz, Tobias Harris would have handled in the first round, handled the Hawks in the second round, and then in the conference finals, it would have been the Bucks, now we see. And I think that they would have beaten the Bucks because the Bucks should have lost to the Nets just now. And then in the finals, they would have either played the Clippers or the Suns. The point is that a championship was up for grabs, and Darryl Mori really messed up. My number 2 to blame for everything that's happened is Ben Simmons. Ben has refused to work on his jump shot. He's refused to work on his work from the free throw line, and it clearly came back to bite them. His trade value is really low. When we go over these trades, they're going to be nothing like what the Sixers would have gotten a year ago. And my number 3 to blame is Doc Rivers. Honestly, this series was lost in Game 5. When they dropped that 27-point lead, I mean, this thing should have been over in Game 6, right? The Sixers won Game 6. They should have won Game 5, and that would have been 4 wins and on to the conference finals. So Doc Rivers deserves a ton of blame, but my number 1 is Darryl Mori. All right, guys, let's get to the top 4 trade targets when talking about Ben Simmons. And I'm not going to include Zach LaVine or D'Angelo Russell in this. I've seen a lot of trade scenarios out there. I just think that a backcourt of D'Lo or Zach LaVine plus Seth Curry would be death defensively. And the Sixers are missing a ton defensively as it is with Ben Simmons leaving, right? He's maybe the best perimeter defender in the league. Obviously, their anchor defensively is Joel Embiid. He's going to be there defending the paint. Great. But they're going to miss so much defensively with Simmons. I just want to see a better playmaker and or defender than D'Angelo Russell and Zach LaVine. Both of those guys are pure scorers. Neither of them defend. They're 2 of the worst defenders in the league. And you don't get the playmaking. So Ben Simmons is leaving, and what he does well is he passes well and he defends well. Obviously, he doesn't do offense. So, yes, you're going to get the offense from the point guard position from LaVine and D'Lo, but you're going to miss two of those other tools that Simmons brings that I think they need to put them over the top. So they are out. And my number 4 trade target is CJ McCollum. Why? Because I think that he can play make a little bit better than those guys. He is not very good defensively, but he's not as bad as D'Lo or Zach LaVine. He's just a tick above, so he barely makes my list. But CJ McCollum was having an all-star type year offensively before he got injured. Now, the only thing that I'm concerned with about Ben Simmons on the Blazers is the fit next to Jusuf Nurkic. But Nurk already expressed that he potentially wanted out, so maybe they let him go. My number 3 trade target is Kristaps Porzingis for Ben Simmons. Immediately you say, well, that's not a good fit next to Joel Embiid, and that's true. That's why he's not number 2 or number 1 on this list. But Kristaps has the ability to play the 4, and Embiid can play the 5. The good news is both of them are stretch bigs. Kristaps really took a step back offensively and defensively this year. But yes, he is a plus defender as well when he's healthy. And that's the big wild card, his health. So Ben Simmons' trade value just plummeted because of performance. Kristaps Porzingis' trade value plummeted because of health. So if he can get healthy, then the Sixers will win this trade big time. KP for Ben Simmons. And then on Dallas, again, the change of scenery is going to be part of this for Ben Simmons, but I think him in the front court with Luka, the improved defense, it could be a marriage and something that works chemistry-wise and skills-wise. My number 2 trade target is Andrew Wiggins plus a pick for Ben Simmons. And this, now we're starting to get into things that work on the Sixers side of things, because this is not a Kristaps Porzingis thing, it's Andrew Wiggins. But going the other way, Ben Simmons and Draymond Green, it's not perfect, okay? You've got 2 non-shooters on the floor at the same time. You hate to see that in 2021 basketball. But just think about Draymond and Ben Simmons making plays, attacking the paint, elite defense in the front court with Clay and Steph in the backcourt, shooting the lights out, amazing offense, ball and player movement. It could work, especially because Draymond has said this offseason his number 1 thing that he's going to focus on is his offense, improving it. He knows how bad it was, and it can't be that bad again. So I think Andrew Wiggins plus the Minnesota first-round pick. Now, I'm not a big fan of adding picks in any of these deals for the Sixers because they don't need picks. They need talent because they're trying to win now. But I think the Minnesota pick is valuable enough for them to be able to package that and get more talent in. So that's kind of the secret there. And for Warriors fans who say that that is too much, you are overvaluing Andrew Wiggins too much. It is a phenomena in sports or in life, really, that people overvalue their own way too much, right? So if you ask non-Warrior fans about Andrew Wiggins, they're going to say he is not all-star caliber. Warriors fans legitimately believe Andrew Wiggins will be an all-star in the West, which is insane. And this happens with people's kids. People think their own kid is the best, the neighbor's kid's the worst. No, your kid probably isn't all that either. But my number 1 trade target for Ben Simmons is Pascal Siakam. So this works great both ways. It works in terms of a fit. The Raptors need bigs. The Raptors need youth. The Raptors need all the talent they can get. They're not a free agent destination. They're not going to get someone of Ben Simmons' caliber in the draft. No, they could get him in the draft. They're not going to get him in free agency. The 2 ways are draft or trade. We know they tried the trade with Kawhi Leonard. It worked out. They need to do a trade for a Ben Simmons. Yes, a change of scenery could help Ben, but also you're way out of the spotlight when you're in Toronto. You really are. Also, Toronto has a great history of developing players, and clearly Ben needs some development right now. Now, on the Sixers, Pascal Siakam is exactly what guys like CJ McCollum are not. He is a defender and he is a contributor on offense. He is both. He is a two-way talent. That is what they need. I like Pascal going from that number 1 role that he's in now, which clearly he's not good enough for, to a number 2 role, or maybe even a number 3 behind Tobias Harris. Pascal Siakam is a championship number 3. He's a championship number 2 on his best day, and he certainly was in 2019 when the Raptors won the title as Kawhi with their number 1 and Pascal their number 2. So I think Pascal goes into a role that allows him to flourish. Ben Simmons gets everything he needs with a good development system, a good fit, and a change of scenery out of the spotlight. So those are my top 4 trade targets. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Let me know if you like these kinds of quick hitter reaction videos where just kind of throw them up, kind of lifestyle. But I really appreciate you guys watching. We'll see what happens this offseason.